Welcome back to us here live at the DNC in Chicago at the Democratic National Convention. We continue to bring you as many of the best guests that we can find, but especially the ones that speak to the culture. And right now we have Carron Phillips, who's a Ebony media reporter and a special columnist for the magazine, a legendary Legacy magazine. Thank you for joining us and having this conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Now, there are a couple of articles that you've written that I think would be interesting to our viewers because it is about the culture. We all enjoyed President Obama's speech, but, you know, before President Obama was Michelle Obama's speech. She lit it up. And in your column that you wrote the other day, you said that she did better this time than she did the last time when she dropped what I thought was a gem. And when they go low, we go high. In your article that you wrote, you seem to disagree.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was horrible advice. At the time, I covered the 2016 convention in Philly, so I was actually in the media tent, so I wasn't in the room when she said it, but was watching it in the monitors. And at the time, it was a very classy comeback from a very classy woman. Let's take the high road. If you think about where we were in 2016 and what was going on, it felt like the thing to do. But as we know since then, things got really, really bad. And this turned into, we saw politics become pro wrestling. It got dirty, it got muddy. It was like eating barbecue. And her instructions was like, let's eat this barbecue with a knife and fork, when we know you got to eat barbecue and you got to suck the sauce off your fingers.
But that was pre, you know, what she did was a character move. And
yes,
she was trying to, and
so.
especially I think that message was aimed specifically to people of color.
Correct.
Right? So
Correct.
that, because, you know, we can pop off the handle.
Yes.
You know, so I think she was trying to say, let's just have some decorum about ourselves and not let's stoop to his level.
Correct. But and that's what's been so interesting covering this convention, since we haven't had an in-person one since 16, and comparing the mood and the energy in both of them. In 16, there was a lot of infighting. There were a lot of
in the Democratic Party.
Yes. The Bernie Bros and the Hillary crew, it was very contentious. This feels extra black, but it feels like a lot of love as well. This is a celebration. 16 felt like a necessary evil that we just had to get through to get to Election Day. This feels like homecoming. This feels
Howard
good.
homecoming or all HBCU homecomings combined.
And it just it's Democrats. If you've been listening to them over the years through the Trump presidency, and have things have turned worse, they have been wanting for someone to take jabs at Trump and his followers, you know, push back, fight back a little bit. And that's what it has felt like with the weird comments, with the chance, just with this energy. We feel, and Democrats feel like, and Black America feels like, okay, we have two candidates that, you know what, they're going to say what needs to be said, and they are going to stand up to this bully. We're not going to be prim and proper. We're not going to take the high road. We're going to finally do what's necessary to get rid of this mess. And that's why a lot of this joy has been around this week.
But do you think, well, and reading in that article, you said she was dropping bars.
Yes.
Do you think that was that still the high road? Because she threw some jabs.
Oh, no. She threw
and by the way, I'm not saying that it was bad.
Oh,
but,
no.
But it's not like she went soft.
She threw a lot of uppercuts and a lot of right crosses. She just did it in a very nice way. But she landed the punches. And she landed power punches. It wasn't jabs. It was power punches she landed. And it was something that I appreciated, being in that room. From 8 years ago, and just seeing the reaction from people in the room this time. And if we're being honest, I thought she should have been the closer, which was a really weird thing to see, because as many of Obama's speeches I've seen, he is one of the best speakers of my lifetime. Like, I'm a Morehouse grad. I remember the speech he gave at our graduation. I think it's one of the best speeches I've ever heard in my life. So I understand why he was last, given that he's a former president. But after what we saw the other night, I think if we all
from Michelle Obama,
what was coming, I think we would have flipped the order and let her be the closer, because she did what
well,
needed to be
she is
done.
quite popular. I
Yes.
mean, her popularity ratings just
even though
they're literally just second to Princess
the
Diana.
applause
It's
for her
insane.
was even longer and louder than for him.
Yeah, quite interesting. So I thought that was a great article. Have you received feedback on the piece that you wrote about Michelle Obama? Yeah, and I asked that because I'm interested as to how people of color and black people are inhaling or taking in this information about the election.
Yes, I've received some on social media. I've received a lot of text messages of people, asking how it is in the building.
Yeah.
But a lot of those people that I heard from, they felt like I felt about the last speech.
Yeah.
And knew my feelings on it.
Because we want to feel included.
Yes.
A lot of times the black voice is not included. Even in the Democratic convention. I mean, they bring a few people in to make it feel like they're being inclusive, but a lot of times our voices aren't necessarily being heard, and those issues are on the ballot that affect black people. Let's move on to your next piece. What is it, woke or not? How are we defining woke? Because we all know through this entire presidential campaign, and really even before, I think since Donald Trump got into office, I don't do left and rights. We'll just say that the Republicans have weaponized a cultural term that we use as woke between us. This is how we speak. But they have weaponized it, and your article touched on that, which I thought was great. Brilliant for you to do, but tell us about it.
Yeah, because, woke used to be the cats that walked around with the Ankh earrings. They always had fresh incense and a couple dashikis, and every greeting was my brother or my sister. So that's what woke used to be. But now we're in a situation where woke has become something else. It has been hijacked. And now, all of a sudden we're DEI hires as well. And, we're asking, are you woke? And that has been weaponized. We're DEI hires. And, now there's this thing called black jobs all of a sudden.
Black jobs.
So I walked around and talked to a multitude of people and asked them, quite frankly, can you define woke for me? Because I think if you want to know the definition of it, you should ask a black person. I think since we're talking about DEI hires, you should ask black people if they feel like they're a DEI hire and let them explain why. They believe that they have their job because of the content of their character and their knowledge and their background, not because they check off a box. And then,
And what did you find when you walked around the convention and when you asked black people how they defined woke or if they thought they were a DEI hire?
You got a myriad of answers.
Interesting.
Now, woke, it was a pretty much... Everyone was agreement above the board. With they use different language to describe it. The DEI hire thing, most people did not feel like they were, and even if they said they did, they ended it by saying, they stood their ground and was like, no, I'm here because of how good I am. The black jobs thing, some people said they felt like they did. Some people said they felt like they didn't. There was one guy in particular who works at a black firm, so he was like, hey. I do have a black job, and I would be interested what a DEI hire looks like at a black firm. So you had different voices and different people from different industries across the board who are all here. So I just feel like it was necessary, especially for a publication like Ebony, since these words and terms are being weaponized against black people, well, then let's let these black people define it for themselves and for us as a culture.
Ebony is a legacy magazine. What has been their approach while you've been out here covering it? Are they just to get the black voices, or are they also to recognize, to define what's happening within the culture in politics? Because I also heard you say that this convention is very black.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
It is. The only thing I can compare it to in my experience is covering 16, where it felt like, okay, this is a Democratic National Convention. We know who makes up the party. And historically, black people en masse have usually voted Democrat because we, for the most part, have to choose the lesser of two evils. And that has historically been the Democratic Party. So, let's show up, do what we need to do, because that's what we're going to do, especially when we look at the voting numbers historically for black women. You all always hold it down for America, period. Right. But this one, if you look around this media row, look around every floor of this United Center on different concourses, this feels like our picnic, and the others are just have a visiting pass for this week. And I don't think it's ever felt that way before. And we'll see if it'll feel like this again in 4 years and what it will look like in the future. But I think that's the thing that we should focus on. So while you have legacy media like Ebony here or Essence or whoever else is here, is yes, you want to speak for, of course, women first, black women first, and black men, and for readers of all races and creeds. But let's not forget while we're here who the foundation is, who are the majority of our readers, and what's happening this week. Because what's happening this week is very, very black, and it is very, very moisturized.
Moisturized with the cocoa butter. The issues, before I let you go, some of the issues that stand out to black voters are what that you're hearing or learning as you're on the campaign trail for the black voters. What are some of the things that are most important or standing out?
I think they're the most important things for all voters. Number one, like, can we just get this past from the last 8 years behind us so that we can do some work? We have seen the protest outside, and that has been making major news, international news. Yes, let's get someone in office that can further try to get this war done and get this ceasefire.
Because believe it or not, people of color, black people care about the war too.
Yes.
We want it to end as well.
Yes.
This is not just our friends' fight. It's not
Right.
just the Israel, Jews fighting Palestinians. Black people care about it as well.
But yes, and we've seen some of the policies from the Harris campaign. Look, first of all, let's make sure this Project 2025 doesn't go into effect. We've seen what she's talking about in her and President Joe Biden, what they did with the insulin prices and dropping down. We've seen ideas about, what they're going to give back to parents and first-time home buyers. These are economic things that can help Americans, but would really, really help black Americans. So as you go down the policies and what she's trying to put into work, if she gets in office, and hopefully if she is there in office, I think there are all things that will bring and unite Americans and help Americans for the better. Because if you listen to the other side, it's about divide, and this approach has been more about unification. And yes, I think it is something that is there for every person in this country, but specifically for black people in this country.
Are your brothers going to get out and vote?
They better.
Okay.
But all this black men for Trump and all these other things, I will say, that's the safe word I would use. These things and shenanigans we have seen on social media, or even people whisper about. Look, fellas, it's time to stop playing around. Let's get this done, because we can't do this again.
There it is. Carron Phillips, Ebony media reporter, columnist. Check out his work. Is it ebony.com?
Yes.
Check out his work at ebony.com. I thought his write-up on the Michelle Obama speech was brilliant, and you will certainly get a kick out of the woke piece. And then just ask yourself to define the questions that he asked. How do you define yourself as a DEI hire? And what is your definition of woke? I thought it was brilliant.
And do you have a black job?
And do you have a black job? Thank you for joining us,
Thanks
joining
for
the
having me.
conversation. Stay with us here live at the DNC. We'll have more.